Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for ending my marriage after finding out my wife was planning to leave me, but only after she stayed long enough to do a small career change? Last year, my soon-to-be ex-wife, 32F, told me she wanted to go from being an LND nurse to a specialist cancer nurse. She was returning to college, cutting back her hours at work and aiming to be finished in 2 years. I was supportive, although a little surprised. She had always seemed happy with her career and our life with our 2 kids. But I know some people can spontaneously get the urge for something more or different, so it wasn't a big deal. It did put some strain on me. Because she was so busy, I had to take on a lot more so she could do less. Previously it had been 50-50, and it went to about 80-20 after she returned to education. About 4 months after she started back at college, I overheard her and her best friend talking. I wasn't due home for an hour, but had been able to leave early and had the kids with me. My ex's friend was asking her how she could manage to stay married and keep up the pretense. My ex said if she left me, she would never be able to make the career move. She wouldn't have the time to be a single parent and work and train for her specialty. And that I was able to support her through it as long as I didn't know she wanted out of our marriage and would leave as soon as she secured the new job. Her friend said it would all blow up in her face when I realized, and she said she didn't care. And that she fucked herself over by working even when we had the kids. Otherwise, she could have left and made me support them until she got a job. I waited until her friend was gone and the kids were in bed, and I told her the marriage was over and I was not going to be used until she got what she wanted. She told me I heard it wrong and I was overreacting. She was ready for an argument, but I told her not where the kids could hear, and we waited until the kids were out of the house and we had it out with each other. She told me I was selfish and shouldn't punish her for changing her mind about us. She said if I was a good man, I'd encourage her to leave her job and offered to support her until she was ready to leave. In the end, I filed for divorce and I moved out of the home. I wanted to fight for the home since I'd lived there before we were together. But her name was on the deed, and I didn't want my kids to live in a conflict-ridden home. They were already going through a lot, and this divorce has been difficult for them. Their mom hates me, their grandparents and aunts and uncles hate me, they're not allowed to talk about me around them. And I have tried to hide how sad I am around them, but I fear they've picked up on it. My ex is fighting the divorce and her family are telling me I'm selfish, and I should understand that a woman has the right to ensure her stability before ending a marriage. But she'd be stable without college. Her job was secure, and before this she worked enough hours to support herself and the kids alone if she had to. She simply doesn't want to continue in that job. I don't feel like I owe her that support. But maybe I'm wrong about that, and like she and her family say, maybe I'm the bad person. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for no longer meal prepping portions for my wife? My 26M wife, 25F, and I are newly married, and we have lived together for a year. We get along well, and I can count on one hand how many times we've actually argued about something consequential, obviously excluding joke arguments. Now, ever since I graduated high school, I have been super into meal prep. Every 3 to 4 days, I'll cook up several different dishes. My favorites are curries, stews, burrito kits, healthy McChickens, and the like. I also make a pretty mean jambalaya. Last week, my wife came home after work talking about a restaurant she had discovered near her workplace. I asked how she had learned about it, and she said she and her coworkers went there for lunch. This confused me, as I had sent her to work with a packed lunch, but I just figured she had left it in the fridge there. The next morning, though, I saw her take one of the containers out of the fridge. I reminded her that she went out to lunch the previous day with her coworkers and therefore should still have lunch in her work fridge, but she nonchalantly responded, "Oh, I threw that out." I pressed her for details, where I learned several things. First, she goes out to lunch with her coworkers 3 or 4 times a week. Second, whenever she goes out with them, she just tosses the food I made into the trash. Third, she doesn't seem to understand why throwing out what has amounted to hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars of foods is bad. So I asked her why she wouldn't just bring the food home or eat it the next day. She said, "Nah, I don't want to do that." My feelings were honestly hurt, but she had to go, so the conversation ended there. That night, I tried to raise the issue again, but all I could get out of her was the same spiel about not wanting to bring the food back home and it not mattering all that much. Well, the next day was a meal prep day, and I didn't make any for her. I put my name on all the containers. The next morning, she opened the fridge looking for hers, and she asked where it was. I told her that she had a higher than 50% chance of just tossing it anyway, and that I wasn't going to make lunch for her anymore. She was furious with me. She insists that what she did was no big deal, and one day she even took one of the containers with my name on it. Am I the bad person for just cutting her off like this? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for refusing to discuss my stepfather's will with my siblings and the fact I was right and he wasn't my dad? The father of my siblings died 11 months ago. He had been married to my mom since I was 4, but he never considered me his kid or treated me like his own. He told me himself when I was a child that he was not my father and my daddy was some asshole who walked out on my mom when she told him she was pregnant with me. He said if I ever wanted a father, I needed to track him down, but I shouldn't expect him to step up. He wanted his own kids. My mom and him had 3 kids together. There's an 8 to 11 year age gap between me and them. And they always believed we were full siblings. My mom never corrected it, and their father never realized they believed that. When they were all 12 and older, I sat them down and I told them we had different fathers. I had wanted to do it before, but they were kind of petulant kids, and I knew I'd be wasting my energy trying to convince them. Back when I did explain it, I even showed them my birth certificate as proof. They didn't believe me and had all these excuses. When I pointed out the difference in how he treated us, they said that was just because I was the oldest. My mom died 5 years ago. Her husband became ill after her death and my siblings, and I had a big fight because I refused to contribute to or help with the care of their father. They hated me for it and said I was taking the difference in treatment out on him when it was known older kids have it different. They told me if this was more he's not my dad BS, then I needed to get the fuck over it and accept that we're full siblings. Now that he's dead, they have finally accepted it because he left me nothing in his will and left very strict instructions that I get nothing because I'm not his child. My siblings are in their 20s now and I'm in my 30s and I'm married with kids. It really doesn't bother me that he left me nothing. I knew from a young age to expect nothing. I had accepted that if he lived longer than mom, that would be it for me. I cared for him as much as he cared for me, and his death has made no difference to my life. Now, after all the crap my siblings have thrown at me, they want us to talk about it. Not only that, but the will. I refused. I told them I was not going to rehash all this again, and they were free to discuss it with each other, but since they didn't apologize to me yet, I could assume didn't feel bad about it, and I didn't need any more fighting with them. They accused me of never giving them a real chance to understand. I told them they had been so quick to shut down the truth and to accuse me of just being a petty daughter and unable to accept the truth because I was bitter that I didn't feel the need to give them more chances with this. I said I had accepted long ago that the man would have been happier if I didn't exist and wasn't around. I didn't need to hold their hand through the truth that's nothing to do with them in the end. They think I should be more open. Maybe I should be. So I wanted to ask, am I the bad person? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.